Welcome to Lesson 3 of Law, Courts, and Politics, our 5-week summer course, all online. I know you're all busy doing other things too. I hope that you're enjoying the work that you're doing in this class. This week, we'll be looking at civil courts. And civil courts involve disputes between private parties. It could be two private parties, it could be many private parties. It could be individuals, it could be businesses, it could be groups of individuals. Occasionally, government is also, more than occasionally, government is also involved in civil court disputes. So among the themes that we want to look at, as it says there, disputes between private parties, but we also want to think about the role that lawyers have in adversarial legalism. This is the idea that lawyers dominate litigation and that litigation is commonly a way of making public policy. This puts legal institutions very much at the center of our governmental system. And one of the things that I hope you're beginning to do in this course, it's a short course I know and not a lot of time to process, is looking at the way that the varying themes that we have each week overlap. And so one of the things that I would hope that you would do in discussion this week especially is begin to connect this week's themes to our previous week's themes. As we think about civil law, we're really thinking about three areas of law. We'll talk about torts primarily, and I'll come back to that in a second, but contract law, which are written agreements or written-like agreements between private parties, are very common, as is property law. Property rights are very important in our system of law and in our society. Tort law, though, is what will dominate our discussion this week. And tort laws are basically wrongs. Injuries, accidents. There are lots of examples of torts, but among them are things like trespass, assault, car accidents, product liability cases are all examples of tort law. And the book-length case study you will be looking at this week involves a tort, an accident that created injuries to many people, created a dam breaking by a mining company, created a flood. And so we'll be looking at that. When we think about civil disputes, these are disputes that private parties choose to bring. And so one of the major themes of the textbook, and again, something to think about, is how do these disputes come about? Political scientists, social scientists in general, thinking about the idea of naming, blaming, and claiming. I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but as you work your way through the textbook, you should think about naming, blaming, claiming. How do people begin to name injurious experiences as potentially as litigation? Why do they move forward with some? Why do they choose not to move forward with others? We also want to think about who brings lawsuits and who is the subject of lawsuits. Mark Galanter's essay has a lot to say about who brings lawsuits, but also who wins lawsuits. And his title gives you a big hint as to who he thinks wins, why the haves come out ahead. So we'll be looking at Mark Galanter's famous piece on civil court litigation, and you'll be discussing it. So what do you be up to? There's only one chapter on the quiz this week, which is a nice thing. There are 2 short essay questions, 14 multiple choice questions. Make sure that you look up the short essay questions on Blackboard before you complete the quiz. You're more than allowed to write out your answers to these short essay questions first. I would encourage you to do it in a text editor and just copy and paste them into the box in Blackboard. In terms of discussion, we'll be talking about who comes out ahead in litigation, and we'll also be thinking about a subject that's very much part of American life and has been for a long time, and that's tort reform. Do we need to change our tort system? One of the things that you'll see is this is linked to last week's subject on how lawyers get paid in civil suits. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? What are the advantages and disadvantages of having our tort system? You'll be writing on a book-length case study that I'm asking you to read, The Buffalo Creek Disaster. This is an old book. It's been around for 30 years or more. It's still used in political science classes, other social science classes, as well as law school. It's a It's a very sad but well-told story about a flood that impacted the lives of hundreds, really thousands of people. And so I'm going to ask you to write and reflect on that. So it's, as I said the last couple of weeks, it's time to get to work. I'll see you in Slack. If you have questions, I'll be participating in the online discussion. This is week 3. So one last point I want to make before I let you go is that if you hope to earn an A, you need to do court visits. And if you haven't thought about those court visits yet, now is the time to do it. I'm more than happy to answer questions about them, but please get to work on them. Okay, take care. See you in Slack. Bye.